Brandon with Voodoo Forge, and I have got the Anvil from the Granville blacksmith shop. It needs a little bit of TLC, so let's get on it. This is it. This is the Anvil from the Granville blacksmith shop. This is a Fisher Norris Anvil, and there's some dead giveaways as to why it's a Fisher Norris. The eagle holding the anchor, the date, just the shape. It's a Fisher Norris. This one isn't really in question. Now, this one was made in 1923. You can tell that because it's marked 1923. This ought to weigh it. I'll weigh it, tell you how much it weighs. But these were the, Fisher was the first American-made anvils. They started making anvils in Trenton, New Jersey in 1843. And they manufactured anvils until 1979. So there are a lot of these out there. Now these are, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's cast iron body with hardened plate. I'll show you where the hardened plate on. And in reality, this thing is not in terrible shape. So I'm just gonna clean it up. I'm not gonna do anything real fancy. I might lightly sand the face of the anvil. I might work some of the chisels on the cutting table out. I'll definitely wire brush the whole thing, but it's not in bad shape. Now you hear a lot of people talk, how do I put this? There are some people with a negative opinion of these anvils. I've been using this one for about a year in that shop, and they're not terrible. They're not bad. The rebound is it's not great, but it's not bad. It's usable. They're good anvils. They're not great anvils. They're good anvils. There's nothing wrong with them. If you've got one, you shouldn't be ashamed of it. You know, it's good meat and taters anvil. First thing to do is just wire brush it. Got it cleaned up. A lot of the original black paint is still on there, so that's cool. The Fisher is cast in the front of the anvil here. There's a tin cast into it there. Last but not least is the bottom of this anvil. It's got these 4 little feet. It's got this cavity. I guess this is the casting mark here. I'm not a big fan of these feet right there. If it were mine, I think I would grind those off, but it's not mine. I'm just entrusted with it briefly. So I'm gonna leave those feet on there, but that's interesting. I've never really looked at the bottom of a Fisher. And if you haven't, this is your chance to see what the bottom of one looks like. There is our cutting plate. And it's really cut up compared to the face. The face is actually in good shape except for some of the edges. So I think I'm gonna leave the face alone. The cutting plate, I'm actually a fan of using cutting plates on anvils, but I think maybe, let's see what I got in my die grinding stuff. Okay, I'm gonna polish that cutting plate up just a little bit. Well, somehow I managed to not record this, but the tip had a little mushrooming on it, and I cleaned that up with a flap disc. Now I'm going to take what is essentially a Scotch-Brite pad and just kind of polish the horn and the face of the anvil. This doesn't take off material, but it'll kind of just polish it. have no complaints about how that cleaned up at all. Right here on the heel of the anvil, you can see where the face of the anvil, the hardened plate, is attached to the cast body. And you can see it's only a 1/4 inch, 5/16 thick. It's not super thick, but there's your work surface. By the way, for those of you who don't know some of the terms I'm using, this isn't all of them, but just a few. This is the heel of the anvil. It's this back area. This is the face of the anvil. It's your working surface. This is the step, the cutting plate, the horn. The square hole is the hardy hole. The round hole is the pritchel. The body of the anvil, the waist of the anvil, and the base of the anvil. There are more names to more parts, but that'll get you back going. I've got a new oak stump for it, but I always try to cut these a little long and then router a footprint for the anvil into the stump. So I'm just marking around it with a Sharpie, and I'll router up to that line with a depth set about 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, something like that. I'm not sure how this is going to work with these feet, but I guess we'll see. There we go. Now, since this one is coming up on its Centennial, it's not my anvil, I'm going to do a couple of things I normally wouldn't do to an anvil. I definitely wouldn't do to an anvil that belonged to me, not because they're bad, but just, I don't know, it's just not something I would do. And first I'm wiping it down with acetone here to get it clean, good and clean. Get all that old funk off. And if this thing could talk, the scars it has, chisel marks right here and stuff, it's crazy. Got a gold paint pen left over from when I did my vise over there. Like I said, this is a little too fancy for something that I would do on one of mine. But yeah, next year is the Centennial for this vise, so I'm gonna highlight the 1923 on here. I thought about doing the eagle and anchor and everything, putting a little highlight on it, but yeah, I talked to the anvil about it, and it's a working anvil. It doesn't need all that bling. But it doesn't mind a gold watch. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to put a little paste wax on here to help prevent rust from getting on this thing. Well, there she is. Granville's grand girl all cleaned up. Let's get her bolted down to this stump. These are the original square-headed bolts that were on this thing, and I found that a 7/8 12-point socket kind of fit on there. But I don't think it would look right mounting it with some hex-headed bolts. So we're going to use these. You know what? Before we take her home, I gotta make sure it works. And that only makes sense. Like it works to me. Goofy thing. Of course, Calamity's got to try it out. Pretty sure she's just using it to get to me. Goofy cat. Well, it's back in the Granville shop. Be using this again at some point in December. Well, y'all, that's it. The anvil did not need a whole lot of work. Basically just cleaned up, mounted on a new base. But I've already kind of talked to the powers to be, and we are going to do something at Granville next year for the Anvil Centennial. Something, I don't know. I don't have it figured out completely yet, but I will let you know. It's either going to be get some people together and do like 100 projects on the anvil in a day, maybe make 100 links of chain in one day, but there's going to be 100 and something with the anvil, and it'll be an affair, a soiree. So I'll keep y'all posted. If you're anywhere close to Middle Tennessee, you should come out and see us at the Granville Blacksmith Shop anyway. But I hope y'all got something out of this. Please hit the like if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Y'all behave yourselves. Think about it. What do you think of the anvil? Why is your hair standing like that? Did you get oil on you? Yes, you did. You've got something all over you. Dadgummit.